Hello and welcome back to Coding with T. Today we are going to learn a very core concept and very useful concept. If we are going to talk about creating and designing web apps, we are going to deal with the images in Flutter Web. And before that, we are going to, in today's tutorial, going to design the drag and drop feature and also where we are going to display all the images. Okay, we are inside our admin panel of our e-commerce app, and in here you can see the dashboard which is already covered or completed. You can watch the previous videos. If we go to the media, click on it, and in here you can see this is the gallery folder where we will be able to see all the images, and over here we have a folder, or you can see a drop down of different folders, and in each folder we have different images. The one for banners, brands, categories, products and users. Let's select the brands, and you can see the images are being loaded, and we can click on any of the image and you can see that image in large. We can also click on this delete image. We can get the image URL, image name, and if there is any additional detail of that image, we will be able to get that detail over there. So this is basically a gallery of images, and the reason to divide the images into different folders is to save the reads and writes and also the storage that we are going to use to display the images. Let's say you are the admin and you have attached, or your client who is going to run your application created by you, whenever he is going to open the media, if we have all the images not in the folders and we're going to display all the images at once, and that specific admin only needs the images of, let's say, the brands, he's going to need this brand, or maybe he is going to click on this upload images and select the image, or he is going to drag and drop like this, and you will be able to see all these four images over here. So the first one is the drag and drop. The second portion will only be visible when there is any locally images selected. So these four images are ready to be uploaded in this folder, which is the brands folder. If I'm going to change this brands folder to categories, down below you can also see the loader. It has just loaded the categories so that admin can know before uploading the images to categories that these categories are already uploaded. So we can remove all the images by clicking over here. We can click on upload image. We will see a verification call, and then when we are going to upload it, these all images will one by one start removing from here and will be appeared over here whenever uploaded. So this is what we are going to create. So again, the reason to use these folders is very simple: to save the extra reads and writes. Okay, so we are creating Flutter e-commerce admin panel, and we have already covered all the previous sections until the media section, in which we have covered a lot of things. If you're new, you can watch the previous videos. I'll drop the link to the playlist in the description. And also, if you want to download the complete code, you can download that from the description as well. Link is provided. Okay, so let's get started. In the previous tutorial, we have already covered the breadcrumbs. We have created the breadcrumbs, which is basically the heading with the back arrow if required, return to previous screen if true. We will be able to see the back arrow because we do not need it over here. Then we have the heading as the media, and then breadcrumbs will be the first login. Then this was just the example case, so we don't need this. Okay, so the header is completed. We created the breadcrumbs, but for now, inside that row, we created the breadcrumb on the left side, but on the right side, we also need to create a button to upload images. Okay, here I've created a button with the elevated button dot icon because we also need to upload an icon. So the icon that we are going to use is the icon of Cloud Add. We are using icons X library to display different type of icons. On press is currently null because this on press will later on toggle the visibility of that upload section, and then as a label we simply have a text widget with the upload images text. And one more thing, to make the size a bit bigger of this button, you have to wrap it with a size box and give it a width of button height and multiply it with a 1.5, which is button width, which is 130, and I'm going to increase it a bit more so that we can have a large button. Now next, before start designing this upload area and the media area, I want to show you that I have created already empty widgets. The first one is the folder dropdown.dart because we need folder in two locations. The first one will be in the upload area, second one will be in the media section. So that's why I have used or created a separate widget, which is folder dropdown.dart, which is currently an empty file, and its name is media folder dropdown. and it is a stateless widget. Then we have the media content, in which we are going to display the actual media, and its name is simply the media content. And then we have the media uploader, which is going to be toggle its visibility to be visible or to be hidden. And the name of the class is media uploader. Again, it is a simple stateless widget class. First of all, I'm going to call those classes over here. The first class is media uploader and the second class is media content. Once done, let's go to popspec.yaml file, and in here we're going to use the two packages over here. The first one is Flutter DropZone. Make sure to get the latest dependency. So Flutter DropZone is the package that is going to allow us to use drag and drop feature, and we will be able to drop all the images from our local device to any specific area, which is the drop zone area of our application. And then we are going to use the universal HTML instead of using a simple HTML which is already added. Previously I was also using that simple HTML, but we started getting different type of warnings because we cannot use the inbuilt packages of Flutter Web. If you are using, or if you have ever used those packages, you already know that there are some type of limitations for using the simple HTML. So instead of that and overcoming to those issues, we are going to use the universal HTML, which is using the same underhood, same simple HTML, but it is going to override all the issues we faced in the simple HTML. So once we have these two packages, we can start working with the media uploader section first. Okay, instead of this container, first of all, I'm going to use column, and inside the column, I'm going to use a children, add a semicolon at the end. Inside the children, we are going to use or create two things. The first area will be drag and drop area, and the second one will be locally selected images area. So for the first one, I'm going to use the T-rounded container that we are going to use throughout in our application. So if you have not created yet, we created this in the previous e-commerce app section, but this is what we have, which is a stateless widget. And down below, we have all these features. Some have the default values and some do not. And also down below, you can see it's a gesture detector. We can use the on tap. It's a simple container with a bunch of features. And also we are using the shadow because by default show shadow value is true. Okay, now inside the T-rounded container, I'm going to make the show border value to true, and also let's give it a height of 250. And after that, we have a border color, which is the border primary color. I will show you these colors in few minutes. Before, we are going to add background color, and background color will be the T colors primary background. And also in the design, the last thing is to add a padding on all sides, and the space that we are going to use is T sizes dot default space. And if you want to see the colors, let's go to the T colors class, which is located inside utils, constants and colors. And at the bottom, you can see we have a border primary color. So you can directly use this color if you want, or if you want the proper way, which is to declare the colors inside the colors.dart, and you can use your color library. And if you scroll it a bit top, you can see we have a primary background color, which is this one. So if you want to use this color scheme, you can use it. And then we have a default space in the T sizes class, which is 24.0, and T sizes is also inside utils, constants and sizes.dart. Once the container design is ready, now we can start creating child as a column first. And the reason to use column here is we are not going to create multiple children, but because we want to expand or to cover all the available space as compared to width and height, because you can see at the top we have given a static height so that this column with infinite height cannot crash our application. And inside this column, we are going to use the expanded widget, which also going to take all the available space. So that's why we have to force the design to have a height of 250, otherwise it is going to give us infinite height. Now again, the purpose of using this column is to use the expanded widget, because otherwise we cannot use the expanded. So expanded is going to take all the available space which exactly we want. And inside this expanded, user can drop images in this section anywhere, not in just the center, but anywhere inside this box. So for that, we have to use the stack property. If you don't know the stack, I have already created a specific video on the stack in our Flutter crash course. You can watch that video as well. Link is in the description. So inside the stack, we can create multiple children on top of each other. So to display a text and a button, and also to create the whole area as drag and droppable. So for that, we have to use the stack property. Now, as the first children of the stack, we are going to make this the complete zone as a drag and droppable. So we have a widget which is drop zone view, and we are going to use this widget to create the drag and drop feature. So let's remove this constant, and in here in the drop zone view, you can see we can use the operations. We have a cursor, MIM type of files that we are going to allow the user to upload. And we have gesture recognizers on created, on loaded, on error, on hover, on drop, and other things. But the main thing over here, we're going to use the on drop function, because whenever user is going to drop the images or the files over here, inside this zone, we have to capture those files and we have to upload or display those files to the user. You can use on drop multiple. So first of all, let's create, you can call it MIME, or it is going to allow us the types that we can upload as a files inside, or drop the files inside the drop zone view. So we are going to upload the files in two ways. We are going to add a button. Using that button click, we are going to upload the files, and also using this drop zone view, we are going to upload the files. So then we have a cursor type. We can use the default cursor type dot default. Then we have an operation, because it is the copy paste operation. So we have drag operation dot, you can see its drag operation is all copy link and a bunch of other things, but we're going to use the copy operation. And in here I've added a few other functions if you want to use them. The one is on loaded, on error, on hover, and on leave. Currently we're not doing anything over here, but if you want to display the proper errors, you can use this on error method, and in this EV you will be able to display the errors. And now we have the function which is called on created. This is an important function, because using this on created, we are going to assign our own controller or the drop zone controller, so that we can use that controller to upload images using the button click. Otherwise we cannot access this drop zone view inside the button or in some function inside our controller. So we will have a controller over here, and we're going to assign this controller to the controller that we are going to create. So for that, inside the media, as in the previous tutorial, we have created the structure. Inside the controllers, we have a media controller, which is an empty controller extending with a getX. And in here, you can see I have created the drop zone view controller, a simple drop zone controller which is not initialized, and using late because we are going to initialize it later on inside our widget. Now you have to initialize this drop zone controller. So inside this media uploader, we are going to create a new instance of our media controller using get.put, and we have a controller over here, and we can call the controller dot drop zone controller, and it will be initialized with this controller. So whenever this widget will be created, our instance will be initialized, and we are going to use this controller to access our drop zone controller, and we will initialize the same controller that will be provided from this drop zone widget, and we will have access to all the features of this drop zone view. And then we have the main function, which is on drop, and using this function we are going to receive actual file, which is, I'm going to call it EV, or you can call it a file. Currently we do not know what type of file it is, and we're going to later on, when we are going to upload all these images to the Firebase, we are going to use this on drop to upload all the images. And then we have on drop invalid. We are again printing. If you want to use this function, you can use it. And also we have on drop multiple. We are using this with an async function, because currently we are not doing anything, so we can simply use the fat arrows to display this function, which is drop zone multiple. So that's it for the drop zone view. Definitely we're going to implement this on drop function when we're going to upload the images in next tutorial. But for now, because this drop zone view is going to take all the available space inside the stack using expanded widget, and now on top of this drop zone view, we are going to, inside the same stack, we are going to create a text and a button. So for that, again, we have to use a column main axis size will be minimum, so that it can take only available space. Now I first want to upload an image over here with a width and height of 50, 50, and the image that I'm going to use is in the T images, and which is default multi-image icon. If you go to this file, which is T images class, located inside utils image strings, default multi-image icon. So we have that image over here placed in the assets. You can again get all the assets, link is in the description, and you can download the starter kit file. After that, we have a space, and now let's create a text. Text will be drag and drop images here, and again we have a space. Then create an outline button. On press is currently null, but later on we are going to create a function which is going to select the images by pressing this button, and we're going to use the same controller that we have created at the top, and the text is to select images. So let's run this application to see what we have created. Okay, our application is running. Let's click on media, and in here you can see we have upload images section with an icon. Currently it's not toggling this section, but down below we have the image first, then we have a drag and drop images here and select images button. So this button will also going to select the images, and if you open this run terminal, you will see over here which is zone loaded, and also when we are going to click on the media again, it is going to load the zone. And if I'm going to drop an image over here, you can see a copy sign, and at the top we have an image. So let's drop it. Currently we are not doing anything with that image, but we can see zone hovered. So as much time as we are hovering that zone with that image, we can easily see the zone hovered text that has been printed. And at the bottom you can see we have a blue and white illustrative playful whatever the name of that specific YouTube thumbnail image, and then we have zone drop multiple, and we receive the one single object. If we have multiple objects, then we are going to receive those multiple objects over here. At the top, if you see, we have onloaded first, then we have the zone hovered, and then when it is going to be dropped, I just added the file dot name, the name that you are seeing, and then we have on drop multiple. This means that we are not getting on drop invalid or on error. So this means our drop zone view is working fine. We have already added all these text and images, whatever it is required, and then at the bottom we have just added a height, which is space between items. And if you want to see this in the T sizes, you can see we have 16.0 to add a small space, and then we have locally selected images. Now let's start designing this. For that, we are again going to use the T-rounded container, but we're not going to design this. By default, it has a white background and a default shadow without any border. So I'm going to use it as it is as a child. Now we are going to use the column property. Its cross-axis alignment will be start, and as a children, I'm going to use the row property because the first row is going to contain media dropdown, and on the right side it will have remove images and also upload images button. So we need a row. On the first row or the first element of this row will be folders dropdown. And now to create a folders dropdown, we have two things. The first one is text, which is to select folders, and you can see I have added a text which is select folder, and the text theme that we are using is a text theme of headline small, and then we have added a small width. And after that we are going to create our media. So let's call that screen first media folder dropdown, and now let's go to that media folder dropdown section, and instead of this container, I'm going to use dropdown button form field as a list of items. We are going to use the folder names, and if you want to get the folder names, go to the utils constants, and in the enums.dart you have to search for this media category, and inside you can see I have named them as folders because first one is not going to do anything. Then we have banners, brands, categories, products, and users. We are going to make the drop down using this enum. So call this enum, which is a media category dot. To access all the values, we have to call the values, and using map property, we are going to return the widgets, which is required, which will be drop down menu item. And inside this map, we have a function, and in each time we are going to receive a single category, and we're going to use the drop down menu item. And as a child, we are going to use a text property, and to display the text, we have to call this category dot name, and to make it capitalized, we are going to use dot capitalize dot to string, control alt L to align, and also to make it to list because we have to return a list of items to this items because it requires a list of drop down menu items. So we are going to create that list using the map property, and in each time we are going to create this drop down menu item, and then at the end we have to add the to list. So control alt L to align, and also the value of this drop down we have to assign the value which is category itself, control alt L. Okay, now the items are created. Now we have the on changed method. At the top you can see we have already created a function which has a return type of void. Function will going to take the media category which is nullable, and also this function can be nullable, and the name of the function is on change, and we have the on change assigned over here. If you hover over this, you can see we have a void function on change, so we can directly copy this one and create our own function for the reusability. And now the one last thing is we can wrap this with a sized box so that we can again extend its width to 140. Now to design this drop down button field, we have to use is expanded to false so that it cannot take all the available space, and also the value of this drop down button field will be the selected path. To create the selected path, let's go to media controller, and in here we have to create the media controller type of RX list, means that it is now going to be observable. Whenever there is change inside this selected path, it is going to redraw the design, and the default assigned selected path is media category dot folders. So first thing that will be displayed as already selected will be folders. Later on, whenever there is change inside the selected path, because it is a type of OBS, it is going to redraw itself or redraw the UI. So inside over here, we have to call the controller because the instance is already created. So we are going to use simply media controller dot instance. So if you want to see this function, it is simply a function which is returning get.find, and it is going to find the instance of type this media controller, the instance that is already created in the getX. So using this controller, we are going to call selected path dot value. Whatever the value has been selected over here will be assigned to this value, and to redraw the UI, we have to add one last widget, which is the OBX widget, and as a child we have to create a function. Now whenever there is change inside the selected path, this OBX is going to redraw this drop down button, and we will be able to see the newly selected drop down value. Now we have to assign the selected path using this onChange function whenever we are going to use or wherever we are going to use this media folder dropdown. So let's go to media folder dropdown, and inside we have a function onChange. This onChange function is going to give us the media category, which will be nullable. Let's call it a new value, and inside this function we are going to check that if new value is not null. For the time being, we are simply assigning the selected folder, but later on whenever we are going to fetch the images, we will be able to call the get images function over here. So controller dot selected path dot value is equal to new value. Okay, now let's refresh the code. While it's running, let's wrap this row with another row, because the first row only controls, or it is going to be a child of the main row. The first row contains the text, which is the select folder, and then we have the drop down. So let's name it folders drop down. And now the second thing, again we're going to use a row, but this time this row is going to contain two buttons. The first button is going to remove the uploaded items, and the second button will be the primary button to upload all the images. So it is a text button. On press is currently not doing anything, but later on it is going to remove all the selected images, and then as a child it is a text widget with a remove all, then add a space, and for the primary button or the upload button I'm going to use elevated button. On press is currently null and the text is upload. To increase its size, we again have to wrap it with the size box. Width will be the button width. Over here we have to check one thing, that if this is going to create an issue in the mobile device, because it is going to, these three buttons might not fit in the mobile device, because we also have a text over here, then a drop down, then we have again a text button, then again we have the upload button. So let's test it over here. Currently we can see we have a folder. We can see all the folder names. Let's select the brand, and you can see the brand is selected. This means that OBX is working. Whenever we are going to select any of the name, it is updating the UI. Then we have a remove button and upload button. So let's go to the main row, and inside we have to call the main axis alignment and use the space between, so that it is going to add the equal space between these two children, the first one and the second one. And now you can see we have the space, all the available space between these two rows. The first row is with the text and folders drop down, then we have two buttons, remove all and upload. But what needs to be tested is when we're going to move to the tablet mode. Currently this one is a tablet, and you can see it is looking fine. Now let's go to the mobile, and you can see the space is reducing. And over here we have the issue that we were expecting, and now you can see we have right overflowed by 38 pixels. This means that we cannot use this button right over here. So on top of this size box, I'm going to call the device utils. This is a helper function, and we have to call dot is mobile screen, and if it is going to return true, this means this is a mobile screen. In that case, we are going to return size box dot shrink, and in the else case, we want to display our own actual button, Control Alt L to align. And over here you can see the tDevice function is a function is going to check that if this is the mobile screen that is currently visible, and if yes, then we do not want to display this upload button over here. We want to display this size box dot shrink, means do not take anything, and else if it is not a mobile, it's a tablet and it's a desktop, then only in that case we want to display this button. And if you want to see this device utils function, there's a helper class located inside utils constants, and in the device we have device utility. It's a tDevice utils class and all the functions are static. This means that we can directly call tDevice utils dot any of this function without creating any instance. And at the bottom, I have created these additional functions for the web app. If it is iOS and Android, till here we were using this for e-commerce app, but now we have is desktop screen, tablet and mobile screen. Using media query, we're going to check the size dot width greater than these static sizes, which is desktop screen size, then this means it's a desktop. If it is greater than equal to tablet size and less than equal to desktop size, then it is a tablet device, and else if it is less than the tablet screen size, then it is a mobile device. If you want to see these static sizes, I have already created a detailed video of this responsive screens in the responsive section of this course. You can watch the video, link is in the description. So we have created upload and remove buttons by this way. So let's save this code, and you can see we have select folders, name of the folder, and only we have a remove all button. Now after this row, which is upload and remove buttons, add some space, which is the height of space between sections. And now we are going to create a section to upload all the images or to view all the selected images. I'm going to use the wrap. Wrap also has a list of children's. Wrap, what wrap is going to do, it is going to keep adding all the images until the specific width has been reached. Then automatically it is going to send the next image, which is not going to have the next space inside a one single row. It is going to break the row and create another row with the next list of images. So let's design it first, because currently we do not have any images to be shown over here. So let's create the alignment with the wrap alignment dot start, so that all the images should be started from the left side. Then add the spacing as space between items, divide by 2, and run space means when the image is going towards the right side, then the spacing will be again same. You can see it as x and y axis spacing, so that we have the horizontal spacing between the items will be same as the vertical space between the rows. And as a children or as a list of children, we will be able to use the t-rounded image. And if you want to see this image, we have different types. We can upload the file, we can upload the memory image by first defining the image type. So if you first see over here, we have a width and height for the specific widget. We have the padding, then image type is defined, which is the image type of memory, because whenever we are going to upload the images from the local device inside our admin panel, and then in that case, I'm only talking about creating the Flutter web, because in the web we receive always the memory type of images, but in apps, in the Android, in the iOS, we do not have the memory type of images. We were using different type of plugin to upload the images over there, but over here we have to get the image type of memory image. So that's why we have to define the memory, but currently we do not have anything. That's why I'm not going to add a memory in this case, but just for the example. But to display a dummy image, I'm going to use the asset, and for the asset we can pass the string. So let's say t-images.adidas logo, and then background is the primary background. If you want to see this t-rounded image, again we have some values with the defined width, height. Only this image type is required. The rest of all the things are optional. We have a fit, which is by default box fit.contain. Padding is small. Then we have apply image radius to true. Border radius is medium. So if you see this, it's a container with a width and height, and this is the margin. If margin is not null, only in that case we are going to give it the margin, else it is not going to give any margin. Then we have a padding, then decoration, and inside decoration we have a border, border color, and border radius. Then to create a child of this container, we are using build image widget, which is going to check if the type of the image is network, then it is going to build the network image. If it is a memory, build the memory image. If it is a file, build the file image. And if it is the asset, it is going to build the asset widget. And whatever these functions are going to return will be the widgets. So we're going to store that widget over here, and we're going to use the clip rrect to add the radius around the image using border radius. If apply image radius is true, which is true in this case, it is going to add the circular, else it is not going to add any radius. And then whatever the image type will be returned, it is going to display over here. And here are the functions to build the network image. We are going to build it like this using cache network image, but in the web cache network image or this cache is not going to work. Then for the building memory image, we are using image type is memory image, and we're going to pass this image. We have the overlay function or overlay color, sorry. Then we have the file, simply using the image. We are going to now use the image as file image, and then we have the asset image. We're going to replace this one with the asset. We're going to use this t-rotated image throughout in our function. So currently we have only one image, so let me duplicate it and save that code. And over here you can see all the images are not visible, and also it is in that same row, I guess. So let's go back, and I think we do not have this image that we have just added. So first of all, let's close this wrap, and definitely we are inside that row. Now you have to go outside this row, inside this column, and paste this height with the spacing between sections, and then we are going to use the wrap property. And now open this wrap section, and we have to change this image because we do not have this logo. Let's use the dark cap logo, and now we can duplicate these images. Let's save it again, and this time you can see we have the 4 images over here, and we are inside the next line. Now let's try to reduce the size. This is the tablet mode, and now we are inside the mobile. Now to test the wrap, we have to press B one more time so that we can break the images into next lines. And now you can see we have 4 images in the first row, and then we have 3 images in the second row. But whenever I'm going to move toward the left side, or the space of the device is going to increase, you can see what wrap is doing. It is going to push the last image next to end of the row, and then here you can see this is how the wrap is going to work. It is going to calculate the available width, and then it is going to wrap the next element to the next row. Now using the same strategy, we are going to create the next section, which is the media content. And one more thing is that at the end, just add some height, and we're going to check that if this is a mobile screen, then we are going to display that upload button at the end of this, where all the images will be ended. And if this is not a mobile device, we do not want to display anything, because in that case upload button will be at the top. And now you can see currently we have the upload button at the top. Let's go to the tablet, and in here still we have that upload button at the top. And now in the mobile, you can see the upload button has been displayed right at the bottom of these all images, and it has been removed from the top right corner. Now before start creating this content section, we have to toggle this button to hide and show all these drag and drop images section. So for that, let's go to media uploader section, and inside right on top of this drag and drop, or on top of this locally selected images, you can see we have a column. And first of all, let's go to media controller, and here we have to create a boolean of type show images uploader section. If we want to display this images uploader section, we're going to make this boolean as true. It is a type of OBS, means that whenever there is change inside this boolean variable, the UI will automatically be redrawn by the OBX widget. So for this to be visible or to be hidden, we have to go to the media desktop, and inside the headings we have the button to upload images. Right over here we have to use the controller dot show images uploader section dot value, and it will be equal to not, means if this value is true, which is this one, if this value is true, make it false and assign it to this one, and if it is false, make it to true and assign it to this one. This means that it is going to toggle the state again and again whenever this button will be pressed. And for the controller, we have to use get.put and create the new instance, and using that we are going to use the media controller. So this means that the instance of the media controller will be created over here. Now in the media uploader, we do not have to, or we do not need to create its instance again. Instead, we can directly call media controller dot instance, because the instance was already created whenever this media desktop screen will be created right over here. And now this is going to actually assign the new value to this images uploader section. Inside this media uploader, we have to wrap this column with a widget called OBX, because we want to display or hide this widget. So it is a function, and it needs to check controller.show images uploader section if it is true, using dot value. If it is true, we want to display this complete section, and if it is false, right next to this column, we want to create a colon, and if it is false, we want to use the sizebox dot shrink, and also add a constant, Control Alt L to align. Okay, so now let's save the code. This section will only be visible whenever this value of this show images uploader section will be true. And currently you can see we do not have anything visible over here because we had not created the media section content. When I'm going to click on this upload images, you can see all the data over here. Currently remove all is not going to remove anything because we have static data. So by this way we can hide or toggle the state of this section. So let's hide it. And now let's create the media content section. So I'm going to copy this folders drop-down section because we need something same or similar right in the media content. So we have the t-rodent container with all its static design or the default design. Then we have a column. In here we have to create the media images header, and then we have the show media. Remove that constant, paste that row over here, import all the necessary files. So over here we have the media images uploader, and now we have to display the media. And for again we have to go to the media uploader, and down below we have to copy this wrap function, and inside the media content we are going to paste that wrap over here which we have copied from the media uploader, and inside we have to upload these necessary files. And after the wrap we have to add some space, and here is a load more media button with a padding which is symmetric from top to bottom, so that right after the images we have the padding from top and also additional space from the bottom. So I'm using the vertical instead of the size box. Then I'm using a row so that we can make this button in the center, and then we have a size box to create the button with the width of large size in width. And then we have elevated button dot icon. On press is currently not doing anything. Definitely it is going to go and call for the more images, so that again we can save the reads from the database. We will first only display 20 images, and later on we will able to fetch more images. So let's save it. Okay, so now you can see we have the folders created. Banner is selected because it is toggleable, and also when we are going to upload or toggle this images section, you can see the same drop down folder is being triggering, and when I'm going to upload this products, you can see the same product is selected at the bottom. So we have static images over here, and also we have a load more button. Later on we are going to use this to view more images. So this is what we have to create. Our media section design is almost completed, and at the end of this section we are also going to convert this complete section into a pop-up or into a model bottom sheet, so that whenever we are going to select the images while working with the products or wherever we need any image, we are going to see all those images using the same widget in a model bottom sheet, and we will be able to select these images because currently we cannot select any of the image. So make sure to watch the upcoming videos, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button if you like or learn anything new. And once again, thank you for watching and take care.